Now next type of pagination is the cursor pagination. Cursor pagination works on like your API will give the point, a unique point from where you have till where you have ingested the data set. I am repeating, cursor pagination will give you the point from where you have to start the next batch. API itself will give the point. You don't need to generate any type of point. API will give the point from where you have to start the next batch. Now this point can be of three types. It can give the ID, the unique column which we have discussed in the offset pagination. It can give you the point from where you have to start, the unique ID from where you have to start in next batch. Second, it can encode the string. For example, you have the sensitive data and we don't want to expose the unique ID directly. So we hash the ID or we encode the ID and then only cursor will provide that unique ID to you in the form of the encoded. Third one, the URL. It will give you the new URL, the next URL from where you can pick the dataset. We will discuss this in the detail, each of the pagination. First one is the ID based pagination. Let's have a look at the working of this. Batch ID. This is the batch 1 and you have ingested the data till 150 ID number. This is the ID number. Don't compare with the offset pagination. In the offset pagination, this was the row number, or you can say the number of rows, but here it is ID equal to 150. For the second batch, data will be ingested from the ID 151 or in the whatever ID which is available in the data set greater than the 150. For second batch, automatic condition will be applied. ID should be greater than 150 and it will load the data set till 300, for example. ID equal to 300. And in the third, it will be 450. What it means, API will return the point till where last batch has been completed. For a new batch, you have to start from that point. Now for the fourth batch, you can guess easily, it will be ingested till ID equal to 600. Now let's understand the working of it. Now we have stimulated the cursor pagination for ID. In real term, we don't have any free API to which we can apply the ID pagination here. So we have stimulated this. Let's discuss this step by step. You are using the API dummy.json. Limit is the 5. Cursor is the 0. For the first batch, cursor will be 0 always. Now we have again applied the dangerous condition while true. This is the more dangerous condition because it will run your loop infinitely. So somewhere in the dataset you have to apply what? Break condition. Although for understanding we are running only first batch. Let's remove the while loop and run this for only one batch. We are hitting the API and we are storing the results into the data and we are pulling out the products from here. Now again I am saying this is the stimulation. Okay, in the real world, cursor will be returned to you automatically by the API. Let's first understand this, then we will compare the API, how real API works for the ID pagination. Now we have pulled out the data. Let's have a look here. We are only pulling the data set where ID is greater than cursor. For first batch, cursor is 0. And how many records we are pulling? Limit 5. We are pulling the data set where cursor value is greater than 0. Obviously this is batch 1. Okay. Now for second batch, what we have to do? We have to take out the latest ID. For next batch, what we have to do? In the data set, in the last batch, we have to take out the last ID. Okay. And then again, we have to calculate the, let's print this cursor. Now we are calculating the second batch. Let's make this batch 2. Okay. Now run this. You can clearly observe cursor value will be 5 here. Now instead of 0, second batch will start from 5. Now what's the difference between the real API and this API? You don't need to apply this step in the real API. You just need to pass the parameters. Cursor value, limit value. Okay. And for each batch, you got the response from the API. The response you will get the cursor value. And from there you can pick out that cursor value and apply that into the new batch. So you don't need to apply this manually, but for understanding purpose we have applied this. Now if we go to the main code, let's delete this first. In the main code, we are checking if it is empty. For example, at the 11th of batch, we don't have any data to pull, so it will get empty. There we will break the loop. And we are printing the cursor value every time. This is the cursor value. We are printing the details which we want from the data set. And the last step, we are updating the cursor. This step and this step is automated in the real API. You don't need to do this whole activity. You just need to pass the parameters. Like we have applied in the offset parameters. We have passed the limit and the skip parameters. Similarly, we have to apply there. That is a straightforward. Now, token-based cursor pagination. Token-based cursor pagination is similar to the ID pagination. Just your ID has been encoded. Because you don't want to disclose your internal logic to everyone, so you have encoded the ID. It works in the same approach as the ID, just your ID is encoded here. We have discussed ID based cursor pagination, token based personal cursor pagination. Now third one is the URL based. How it works? In the ID based pagination, you get the nest ID, but you get the nest ID from where you have to access the data, and that ID is provided by the API. Similarly, for the token based pagination, you are getting the nest token, and that token has been provided by the API. In the URL based pagination, you get the nest URL, and that URL has been provided by the API in the response. You pick that URL from the response and you use that URL as a point of access in the next batch. Let's have a look here. We have the parameters limit 5. You get the data and stored into the response. You have converted that response into the JSON format and stored into the data frame. Now you are getting the data. It has been stored in the results. Similarly, with the results you are getting the nest. But in nest is the URL from where you have to fetch the new batch dataset. If URL is null, somehow after 50 batches your URL got null, that means there is a breakpoint. After that we don't have the data in the server. Let's have a look at the dataset. This is the records, 5 records, because we are using the limit 5. After that, API returning the URL. This URL you can use for the next batch. Now, don't standardize this URL. It differs based on API to API. Here, offset condition is used. Maybe in the new API, there can be a page-based filter, okay, or the filter based on any other ID. So you have to look at that, the API documentation. According to that, you can understand what kind of URL you will get for the new batch. Now after the cursor-based pagination, we have the page-based pagination. In the page-based pagination, we get the data managed in the form of pages. If you want to retrieve the data for a specific page, then you can give the URL of that page, and for that page only you will get the data set. For example, in the e-commerce website, we have different pages for each products. So if you want to fetch details of only product A and B, then you have to provide the page of that product. Now last pagination method, Keyset pagination. Keyset pagination is the most widely used pagination and the advanced pagination. First understand this concept, then we will dig into the code. First of all, you should identify the unique column. To that column you can arrange the data set. In the Keyset pagination, you have to first identify the unique column. To that you can divide the batches. For example, our favorite column ID. We have the ID column, and using ID column we are dividing the batches. For dividing the batches, we are sorting the data set. We are sorting the data set because data can be unsorted. So we are sorting the data set, and after the sorting, we divide the data into multiple batches. Now one question arises: what is the difference between cursor and the Keyset? Because cursor is also doing the same thing. Cursor is dividing data set based on one unique ID. So one major difference is that Keyset pagination gives you the freedom to decide on which column you have to divide the data. In the cursor-based pagination, API decided. So remote control is in your hand here. Let's compare both pagination methods. In the cursor-based pagination, API gives you the pointer from where you have to divide the data, and you then use that pointer in the next batch. But here you define position from where you have to divide the data set. Same thing, you have to follow the API. Here you direct the API. In the response itself, you get the next ID or the next URL. But here you tell the API that we want the data set after this point. This is the response which we get from the API. Now here we decide which column we have to use and what value we should use as a terminating point for one batch. That's the same thing. Developer decides the query break. Developer decides from where we have to divide the data set. Here API controls everything. Now let's understand using the code. Before moving to the code, understand these concepts. Operator. $LTD means $LT means less than, $GT means greater than, LT means less than equal to, and GT means greater than equal to. Let's run the query for only one batch. I am removing the while condition because we are running for only one batch. We are manually understanding the concept here. In the first step, you have the URL from where you have to fetch the dataset, deciding the limit. Last state is the column which you are using for breaking the batches, for dividing the batches. Query, based on this query, our batches will be divided. We will come to this on the later part. First, move to the payload. In the payload, you are deciding the limit of the data, and I have told you earlier that before dividing into the batches, we are sorting the data set. For sorting, I have decided to sort the data based on the date UTC, and -1 means reverse in the descending order. Latest first. You are using this payload. Now one point is here. For the first batch, query will be null. So you get some few records. Few records means 3 records because limit is 3. This condition decides if data is not null, then only we will proceed with the loop. We are printing the details of the dataset. This is we are quite familiar earlier also. Main point is understanding this. This is the column to which we are sorting the dataset. Now we are using this column for dividing the batches. How we can use this? -2 -1, we are picking the latest date, not the latest date. Here we have done the descending order. So in the descending order, this will be the earliest date. For example, you have the 3 dates: 11 March, 25th March and 29th of March. So you have sorted the data based on the latest first. In the latest first, this will be the first, this will be the second record, and this will be the third record. So the breaking point will be this 11 March. Now in the next batch, you will break the data or take the data from the 11th of March. And this last date will be used in building of the query here, this part. As I have told you earlier, we will take this in the later step. For the first batch, it is empty. For the second batch, it will be this. It means date should be smaller than last date. Means date should be smaller than 11th of March. Now data will come before the 11th of March. You pass this in the query. Now again, every pagination, every parameter divides on API to API. You have to read the documentation carefully. Now same for the second batch. You get the data set and you arrange the data set. Now the date, which is the earliest date, based on that date you will divide the data. For notes and the code, you can access the GitHub profile which have been provided in the link below. Thank you.